Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today was another practice at Steelers training camp in Latrobe at St. Vincent College, and we definitely got some news that we got to talk about on today's program. First up, a Steelers quarterback is out for the NFL preseason this year. We'll discuss who that is, and we'll talk about what that means for the watchability of the Steelers training camp for the preseason this year. Then we'll talk about Aaron Rodgers, and he talked about Steelers camp and the things that he's really excited about heading into his first season as the Steelers quarterback. And then we'll finish up today's show with my practice report from Wednesday's practice there in Latrobe. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We provide you guys free and daily Steelers content right here on the channel, and you guys can get down there and click that subscribe button if you guys want content every single day here on Steelers Talk. And if you guys want a special shout out on a future edition of Steelers Talk here, guys, whoever has the most comments down there in the comments section is going to get a special shout out of their own as today's MVP on a future video. So I want to give a special shout out to Monday's MVP, which was Robert Locke. Robert put in the most in Super Chats on our Monday live show, so I want to give a special shout out to Robert Locke on today's show. So everybody get down there in the comments section and spam those Locke emojis for Mr. Robert. Okay, so now let's get into the news of the day, starting with rookie quarterback Will Howard, who fractured his throwing pinky finger, and he's going to have to not get surgery, so that's good news, but he's also going to miss at least 3 weeks, and he is going to not be able to participate in the NFL preseason this year. Ian Rappaport reported it last night, saying Steelers rookie quarterback Will Howard, who banged his throwing hand in practice, suffered a fractured small bone in his hand. Sources say he's having additional tests, but it's likely no surgery is required. He's expected to miss at least 3 weeks. But more info coming. And guys, this just made the Steelers preseason way less fun to watch for me. Now, obviously, I'm going to eat it up because, I absolutely love Steelers football, and there's plenty of other players that I'm excited to watch during the preseason this year. But this was really the time for Will Howard to play in the preseason, and this was his time to be able to show the team what he was capable of doing on an NFL football field. Now, obviously, in the preseason, they play pretty vanilla defenses. It's not like an actual NFL game, but I was excited to see what Will Howard was going to look like with some of the players he's developed a really good chemistry with all throughout Steelers training camp. Guys like Rock Taylor, guys like J.J. Galbraith, and others. He was going to get a lot of playing time this preseason, and now we're at a point here, guys, where he's probably going to have to play during the regular season if he wants any chance of being this team's starting quarterback heading into the 2026 season, because you got to be able to see him play and see what he can do if you're going to forego drafting a rookie quarterback in next year's NFL draft, and unless he hits the field, and obviously we're hoping that doesn't happen. Rodgers hopefully has a good season, and this offense has a good season. We never see Will Howard on the field during the regular season, and if that's the case, I have a feeling that Will Howard's never going to get his chance to be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So get well soon, Will. We're thinking of you, man. Show some love to Will Howard down there in the comment section by spamming his number 18 down there in the comment section. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. You never know who watches this show. Perhaps Will's watching this show right now. Will, if you're watching, we love you and appreciate you, and hope you have a full and speedy recovery here over the next few weeks. And today, Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers' starting quarterback, spoke to the media, and he had some very interesting things that he said that I want to share with you guys on today's show before we get into our Wednesday practice report. When it came to the Steelers training camp environment, I kind of liked what Rodgers said today. This is what he had to say to CBS Sports. He says, "What Latrobe offers is the opportunity to hang out with the guys every night. I had to relearn how to play video games because you're trying to connect with these younger guys, and they're all gamers. So there's video games, there's cards, there's conversations about football in the rooms, and I'm loving every second." Then he dove into the Steelers' offense, led by offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, and how it's gotten better in training camp in recent days. Rodgers said the last 3 or 4 days have been much better. Our defense, it is. Obviously, we have a lot of pieces to it. Always early in camp, when the pads go on, the defense seems to have the upper edge. But in the second week, it starts to turn a little bit. I feel like we have been playing a lot better. the last week and a half. So that's really good news there that Rodgers sees it that way. That's what we've been reporting here over the last several days here on Steelers Talk. And then something else that he said that I thought was a really good point was that he said that he thinks that the joint practice with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week is going to be more important than the preseason games than the Steelers are going to be playing over these next 3 weeks. His logic was that defenses play too vanilla during the preseason games, and they don't want to put on tape, what they want to do during the regular season, which is why, a lot of these teams like the Los Angeles Rams and other teams that don't play their starters in the preseason really give their first-team offenses a ton of reps in those, joint practices, because that's when defenses experiment. They try with different pressures and they try with different disguises, and that's more like real football. So, I think Rodgers made a really good point there, and I'm going to be keeping a very close eye when the Steelers go up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in just a few days. Then we get to Aaron Rodgers and his comments on a second-year wide receiver out of Michigan, Roman Wilson. This is what Rodgers had to say about Rowe. He says, I got to get Rowe out of his head a little bit. I think he's such a good kid. He cares so much about whether it's my approval or he's doing it right. He's just got to trust himself because he's so damn talented. The more that he can play free and not think out there, the better he's going to play. The more he can just trust what he's got and just go out and react, the better he's going to play. So obviously that's all good news there, that Rodgers feels like Roman is starting to come into his own there. You can see that Rodgers has kind of taken Roman Wilson under his wing, and he's played a lot better in these Steelers training camp practices over the last couple of days. And coming up here, I've got my Steelers practice report for today. I got my full offensive and defensive notes for you guys. It wasn't a fully padded practice today. It was a little bit of a lighter practice, but definitely a lot to take away from today's practice in Latrobe. But before we get into my practice report here, guys, you guys can get this Aaron Rodgers Steelers jersey right now when you use our link, chatsports.com/AR8. That link is down there in the comments and description of today's show. You click that link and you make a purchase, and we get part of the proceeds of that purchase. So if you guys want an Aaron Rodgers jersey before the start of the season and you believe in the 4-time NFL MVP and former Super Bowl champion, go to chatsports.com/AR8 if you're excited about Raji. All right, so the players that did not practice today, there's quite a few of them. Will Howard, of course, didn't practice as he's going to be out for the next several weeks with that fractured pinky finger. But then Calvin Austin III, the wide receiver, missed his 4th practice in a row. Head coach Mike Tomlin said that he should be on the field here soon. Derek Harmon, head coach Mike Tomlin said that he was banged up and didn't practice today, but it didn't sound too serious. I'm not too worried about that. Alex Highsmith is still dealing with his groin injury. Cole Holcomb was not on the field today. Jalen Ramsey sat out his 2nd day of practice in a row. That's a little bit concerning. Darius Slay had a veteran day off today. Then Corey Trice Jr. still dealing with that hamstring injury. Dante Kent still didn't practice today, but he did get out of that walking boot that he's been in the last couple of days. And then Calvin Anderson once again missed practice today as well. But Jalen Ramsey was seen in a leg sleeve today at Steelers practice that went all the way down his leg, a compression sleeve. I don't think this is anything too serious. I think Mike Tomlin would have said something if Jalen Ramsey had some sort of significant injury that would have kept him out for multiple weeks. He kind of just said the guys that sat today that were veterans was more of a rest day. So maybe he's dealing with some soreness, so he's had a couple days off here. But Ramsey's been fantastic throughout camp, so I really don't have any reservations about him at this point. Then we get to 7 shots here where the offense once again won today, getting close to tying up the series in camp here. Defense is still winning that series 5-4, but today Aaron Rodgers stayed hot with a nice touchdown to DK Metcalf. In fact, 2 Rodgers to DK touchdowns today. There was an incompletion to Darnell Washington on the 2nd play. Then Y.A. Black, the rookie out of Iowa, batted down Aaron Rodgers' 3rd pass attempt. Beanie Bishop Jr. Had a PBU on a Mason Rudolph to Robert Woods attempt. Next play, Rudolph converted a touchdown to Woods. Then Lou Nichols, the backup running back, had a touchdown with the 3rd team. And then Rodgers came in and finished it off with a nice tight window touchdown to DK Metcalf to secure the win for the offense. 4-3. Now we shift to the offensive notes from today's practice, which is that Aaron Rodgers lit it up again, guys. And you love that you see 2 straight really good practices in a row from Rodgers. And Rodgers talked about it during his media availability today. You know, he talked about how the defense usually has the advantage when the pads first come on, and that's pretty much anywhere you go. And once you get to that second week in pads, the offense starts to kind of, even the scales a little bit. And Rodgers has certainly done that. You can tell his chemistry and his connection with the receivers is growing throughout camp. He's not throwing nearly as many misses from an accuracy perspective, and he's throwing the ball down the field with a lot of confidence and zip, and he is really doing a good job distributing it to a bunch of different guys. DK Metcalf, Scotty Miller, Pat Freiermuth had a really good day today, and of course, Roman Wilson, who had another great day of practice today. 2 straight really, really good days for Roman. I'd say over the last 2 days, nobody has caught the football from the first-team offense more than Roman Wilson, and you can tell that Aaron Rodgers is making a point to get this kid the football and kind of negate some of this narrative around him that he sucks or that the Steelers need to go out and get another wide receiver. Like, Rodgers seems to really believe in the talent in Roman Wilson, and over the last 2 days, man, he's been getting open. He's been cooking people. He's shown an ability to make plays down the field and make tough catches, and you can see that connection really starting to blossom. And then when you get Calvin Austin, the third back, you got your 3 starting wide receivers out there, and the Steelers are hoping that Roman Wilson can kind of be that true wide receiver 2 of the future in this offense, be a run blocker, be a very quick speedster, and somebody that can get open and from outside, from inside, and just be that guy that's that legit number 2 weapon for Aaron Rodgers to exploit in this offense. Then Scotty Miller has been working quite a bit with the first-team offense with Calvin Austin III out with whatever injury he's dealing with right now. And, Scotty and Calvin, very similar type of players. When Scotty makes this team or, when he's on the practice squad, whatever, it's because he is pretty much slated to play the same role as Calvin. They're both undersized. They're both speed threats. They're both downfield vertical threats. And, Scotty has been pretty much playing Calvin Austin III's role in the first-team offense. And honestly, he's been playing pretty darn well. He's made some tough catches. You can tell that he can track the ball in the air. And obviously, he's got the crazy speed. So Scotty Miller, as a backup to Calvin Austin III, I think has proven himself to be somebody that could make this final roster and be, a valuable piece to this Steelers offense. Then you get to some interceptions from Rodgers here. He's had 4 interceptions in the last 2 days, but all of them have been tipped, and a lot of them have been kind of just straight up BS. Rodgers has actually thrown 2 perfect passes to receivers. Yesterday it was on a seam ball to Connor Hayward. Today was on a slant to Scotty Miller, and both of them hit them right in the chest. They couldn't secure the catch. It bobbled up in the air, and then a defender was able to get the football. Rodgers also had a tip pass at the line of scrimmage for the 2-minute drill today that ended up being intercepted by Juan Thornhill. And then also yesterday, there was a holding on Brandon Echols, I believe, and then the ball popped up into the air again, and it was once again intercepted. So I'm not worried at all about Aaron Rodgers and these interceptions, guys. Really only 2 of them have been because of bad decisions on Rodgers' part. The rest of them have just kind of been bad luck. Throwing the football and, the ball kind of being popped into the air. So I'm not too worried at all about Aaron Rodgers throwing those 4 interceptions so far this week. Then the final offensive note I have for you guys is that Dylan Cook, the offensive tackle, is having a really nice camp, and I actually think he's on track to make this final roster because Broderick Jones has been up and down throughout camp. I think he's been a lot better over the last 4 practices or so, but if he's no good and he's not playing very well and Dylan Cook continues to play well, I mean, he's getting a lot of first-team reps, guys, and he has really done a good job at left tackle when he's been asked to do that. He's going to be a guy I'm watching quite closely during the preseason because he might be a legitimate option to replace Broderick Jones this year if he ends up just not playing very well to start off his 2025 NFL season. Then we get to the defensive notes here, and one of the most impressive plays of practice today, guys, was linebacker Peyton Wilson was going up against Roman Wilson in the one-on-one drills. It was the linebackers versus wide receivers today, and Roman kind of cooked him on a route, and he got the advantage of him. But Peyton Wilson is so athletic that he actually caught up to Roman Wilson, who runs in the 4.3s, and he was able to get the PBU on the play. So I think Peyton, from his athletic standpoint, he's added a lot of weight during the offseason and has still kept that speed. He's got great coverage instincts. He just really plays the game of football the way that you want an off-ball linebacker to play it, and he's just so versatile in this role that I think think he's going to have a huge breakout year. And honestly, I think at the end of the year, we're going to be talking about Peyton Wilson as not only the best player in the Steelers linebacking core, but maybe one of the best players on the Steelers defense, period. I think he's going to have that good of a season. Then we get to a young defensive player that's also having a really good camp, and that's Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State. Now, when the Steelers took Sawyer, when they did, I was kind of confused that they're, spending kind of that high of a draft pick. I mean, it wasn't that high. It was a 4th-round pick, but I thought they might take a quarterback. I thought they might take a different position, but I see why they took Sawyer, man. He's a really good run defender, and he's actually been winning as a pass rusher as well. He's just a baller. He loves football, and you can tell that when he goes out there on the field, and you can tell he's picked up a couple of tricks from T.J. Watt over the course of minicamp and, of course, training camp to this point. Then another rookie that has played well is Y.A. Black, who just continuously looks good as a run defender. And then, as a pass rusher, where his value comes in is not necessarily disruption like, say, a Derek Harmon's is, but Black isn't going to get to the quarterback, but he's going to put his hand on the football, all right? Like, he's going to have some batted passes. He had one today in 7 shots. So even on 3rd downs, if you have Y.A. Black on there, no, he's probably not going to come down with a sack or create a pressure, but he might just bat that pass down and lead the drive to a 4th down, and the Steelers get the football back. So Black has been really impressive as a run defender to this point. I think he's going to be a player, and I think he's going to be somebody that's a big-time early down player on the Steelers defensive line this year. Then the final defensive note that I have for you guys is that another Thornhill interception today. I mean, Juan Thornhill has been the pleasant surprise of Steelers camp, and I always thought that he would be fine. But plain and simply, guys, he dealt with some calf injuries there in Cleveland the last 2 years, and because of that, he didn't put out really good film the last 2 years, if we're being completely honest. And because of that, a lot of people, including on Steelers Twitter and, people that do watch the film, they were very skeptical of this signing, and they were very skeptical when they traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick and named Juan Thornhill the starter. But he played really good football when the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl in 2022. With Thornhill as their starting free safety. And Thornhill out there is flying around. It seems like he's making a play on the football every single practice. You can tell he brings the right mentality to the pitch. And what's crazy is that after practice, he actually said he thinks this Steelers defense can be the best in NFL history. So hopefully Thornhill and the rest of this defense have what it takes to capitalize on that promise. All right, so that'll be it for today's show, guys. I know it was a little bit of a longer one today, but type those real ones down there in the comments section if you made it to the end of today's Steelers Talk video. And also make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're going to have extensive Steelers coverage every single day on this channel, 100% free, all throughout the 2025 NFL season. So until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.